Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji. Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Swamiji.
Pranam, Pranam, Pranam.
Pranam. Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om. Any thoughts that are to be shared about yesterday's chapter? Yesterday the learnings were, when we go to a temple or a pilgrim center or a place of worship, if we closely associate as to how the institution has come up, who is the founder, who is the Ishtadevada, who is the temple, what are his exploits, then our visit will become more and more effective. Otherwise, we will be just going there and coming out. Papa could stay there for 15 days. The sand as his bed and the tree as his shelter. because he was reveling in not only the Krishna avatar but also as the indwelling and all-pervading spirit. Yesterday when we were sharing some thoughts from the book Krishna Leela, the author Vanamali has also brought out this connection. Though she explains what had happened during the childhood days of Lord Krishna, she did not forget to make a mention that the child Krishna is also the all-pervading Lord of the universe. So from the limited to the infinite, from an individual to cosmos, this is something very important. Otherwise what happens is we go there, we come back, we have some satisfaction for some moments. Probably when somebody asks, where were you? When we explain, we may also feel some positive emotion, but otherwise the impact will not be there much. That is the lesson Papa is giving us from the last chapter. Every place, Vrindavan, Gokul, and one more place, Mathura, Gokul and Vrindavan. Today we take up the 28th chapter, Raipur. Anybody remembers anything in this chapter?
Swamiji, when we go to a temple or any such when we go to a pilgrimage or anything, we should not be anxious or worried about our own things like accommodation and food and all those things. We should become one with the spiritual atmosphere there.
Of course, it may not be possible for any of us to do like that, but we can bring down the comforts level. We can bring down to the barest minimum. That is the first step. Because none of us will be able to go and spend like what he spent there. Because we are not used to that life. So at the same time, the purpose of hearing this is to bring down the comfort zone to the extent possible by us. What is more important is not to the mind space, if it can be fully occupied with the glories, the Stalapuran, the glories of the chosen deity, it will definitely help. Because a chosen deity is reaching out to innumerable devotees' hearts. It is not that one chosen deity goes to one's own heart, no. Anybody visiting the temple. So there is an expansion there. So the deity is one. Suppose you go to Guruvayur, you go to Mogambica or any temple. The deity is one, but innumerable devotees, they draw inspiration, they draw inexplicable joy, They stand in the queue for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. So like that, so many people. From there itself we can understand. He is reaching out to everybody. not confined to one particular individual. So such thoughts, just like you are reaching out to so many people's heart, kindly enable me to feel your presence. If that thought goes from the bottom of the heart, something of it will remain. And before we start, it is better to go through such books. Because that will give us some background. So that we will not, just like tourists, we will not go and come back. It is all right, tourists under the banner of tourism also where they go, but they will get a chance. They may meet somebody who will share the experience. They will be watching, observing. The other day we were sharing, when we had been to Rishikesh on the 25th of that month, last month, evening, we had Hare Rama in boats, boat journey. So all the devotees assembled and 2 or 3 boats were engaged. So many people were there. So we were also taken in one boat. 2 to 3, 4 times, they took us up and down. At the same time, tourists were also going. They were having a jolly time. But at the same time, when they saw us, our boat, where from, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. When this mantra was going on, they joined from the other boat. So that is how God arranges. And definitely, it is not that simply chanting and go. They were intently looking at all of us because somebody was having something to play. And we could understand from their very look, the devotional fervor was there. So even if we go there as a tourist, God will see to it that we get connected with Him. But as devotees, please sit down. As devotees or spiritual aspirants, let us try to go through the background of that particular place so that our mind, has got that background. With that background, when we visit the place of worship, we will be able to dwell more and more on it. We will be able to connect ourselves with Him. Yes. Now about the 28th chapter. Anything anybody remembers?
Swamiji? When in Raipur, when the Muslim friend asked from Papa the deer skin, Papa gives it immediately without any second thought, immediately parts. அதை கொடுத்து விடுறாரு. அவர்கிட்ட இருக்கிறது அது ஒன்றுதான். He gives it. அது ரொம்ப அவர் நமாஸ் பண்றதுல உங்களை ஞாபகம் வச்சுப்பேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி. Correct. The kind friend then asked for the deer skin and it was at once handed over to him. Yes, anything else?
Swamiji, in this chapter, in the last paragraph, Papa sleeps on the floor next to the urinal and he could get the stench, and instead of feeling upset that he was put in that situation, he feels this is my place, this is where the position in which we are in, we should readjust everything to that and taken it as an experience given by Ram. In whatever situation, all conditions are Ram. So he is able to connect to God even in that situation without grumbling.
all of us pass urine, no? But we don't remember that is within us. When we get an urge to pass urine, we rush up to the toilet, okay. But we don't feel we are carrying the urine, the stool and whatnot. So that means, Papa makes a mention, this condition taught him further still what a folly it was to make much of this perishable body. Anything that goes out of this body how do we feel? Though we beautify the body or we make it presentable, God has made these things to happen in our body, and everybody empties this or evacuates, all these things every day. But do we think that it is coming from this body? If we are in a position to think about that also equally, though we have to become presentable, we have to become externally at least pure, neat, still attachment toward the body will not be there much. It will be there. But a conscious effort to know the contents will definitely make us giving due importance, more and more importance to the body. That's why he said, this condition taught him further still what a folly it was to make much of this perishable body. And another touching word he used, and it also tended greatly to make him find his true level, which is indeed very, very low. On one part, we are thankful to the Almighty Ram for having given us this wonderful body, because that is the kshetra, because of which the sense of individuality exists. And that is why we have been able to know about God, and we do so many things with the help of the body to remember Him. All those plus points are there. We try to understand how beautifully He has given different departments, 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception, the mind, the intellect. Think about it. The nervous system, the bone. We were told more than 200 organs are there in our body. And how who taught them, who trained them, to have a comfortable, harmonious relationship between them. All these are plus points. But there also we remember Him who gave us this wonderful body. But at the same time, too much pampering the body, ignoring its perishability, that will not help us. So Papa is trying to point out this, This condition taught him further still what a folly it was to make much of a perishable body, and it also tended greatly to make him find his true level, which is indeed very, very low. To afford him the benefit of this experience, O Ram, thou alone appeared the policeman and brought about the circumstances. And then what happened? Here Ramdas, the child of Ram, slept soundly till morning in the loving embrace of that all-powerful being, Ram. Meaning what? Even that smell of the urine, he did not find it incompatible. He did not find anything that will disturb him. He passed the test. Not by sitting, by making, slept soundly till morning. When we start thinking about it, yes, we sleep soundly in the morning with the urine inside, So when the urine is out, think. We do all these things when all these things are there in our body. So he is trying to draw our attention to this perishability. So though we have to maintain this body, we should not pamper. Just like Papa used to say, we have a body, we are not the body. And in the Vedantic language, this is called the residence, ayatana. If this ayatanam this residence is not there, the sense of individuality cannot do sadhana, cannot approach, cannot know that God is there, cannot approach a spiritually evolved preceptor. In that way, it has to be taken care of. But at the same time, knowing its perishability, knowing fully that it carries phlegm, it carries sweat, it carries stools, it carries urine, which is a natural course. It is not that, it is the natural one, sahaj. When we drink water, when we eat food, after the metabolisms, it has to take place. So then we don't develop any aversion towards it. There are some food for thought he is giving. And one day it will go. Perishability, it was born, it has to go. So that means too much of pampering, too much of giving importance to this body, that will get reduced. We will be able to move from the comfort zones. That is why Papa could do that. Though he was aware that because there was a body, he was able to travel and meet and enjoy the manifestation of the all-pervading reality through the varied manifestation. But still he pointed out this so that we Bhakta devotees will also try to think on those lines. And here again, he is not blaming, Everything is positive, positive, positive. O Ram, thou alone appeared as the policeman and brought about these circumstances. How was this brought about? There was here again the policeman interfered and drove him away. He sought a place under a tree in front of the station within the compound. Knocking about for some time, he saw at last a spot under another tree in a far-off corner of the railway compound. As he had nothing to spread on the floor, he lay himself down on the bare ground. When his nose came in close proximity with the ground, he felt the strong smell of urine. O Ram, how kind you are. You make your humble slave pass through every kind of experience, all for his good. Not at all viewing from the level of the individual. If you are viewing it from the individual, we will not be able to. Because to us, it has to be avoided. That place has to be avoided. First thing what we will do is to go and complain, no? In the platform, somebody has passed urine. Is this the way to keep it up? All those things, But here, the norms are different for a person who has completely laid everything at the feet of the Lord. The norms normally we have has no relevance there. So it will be difficult for us to understand or to see the positive side, because we view it from this angle, no? But Papa is giving an opportunity for all of us to think about it. Nobody wants you to go and sleep in a place where urine is passed. But suppose it comes, you will not make a big hue and cry. Because you accept, and the perishability of the body. And what all naturally it happens, whatever it happens. That also we become aware of it. And if anybody else passes through such a state, we will not have any grumblings or complaints. At our home, suppose one of our family members, they pass urine or they pass stools or they vomit. We don't make a big fuss about it. We try to clean it. So many dimensions, he touches and kindles. That is why probably he thought to make a mention about this particular. You and I, if we are to write something, we will not write this. Because even to writing, we find aversion. Then one more point. Yes?
The last line is very wonderful, Swamiji. Here Ramdas, the child of Ram, slept soundly till morning in the loving embrace of that powerful being Ram. It's very wonderful. Slept soundly till morning.
Sound sleep. Various dimensions on this particular incident, that must have gone through by him. And that is why he said sound sleep. Mind was not turning toward the smell of the urine.
Swamiji, because Papa is trying to say even that is Ram, that is also God.
Yeah.
So we cannot have aversion separate.
Yeah. O Ram, he says, O Ram, thou alone appeared as the policeman and brought about the circumstances. Here Ramdas, the child of Ram, slept soundly till morning in the loving embrace of that all-powerful being, Ram. And one more aspect is there. He says, I have come to have a chat with you, that Muslim friend. I want to know if you have faith in Muhammad. Papa said, why not? He is one of the greatest prophets of God. So he asked, why do you say one of the prophets? Why not the only one? Young brother, although Muhammad is a world teacher, there are others also who are as great teachers. For instance, Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, and in our days, Mahatma Gandhi. If you would try to understand the message they deliver to the world, you would find that in the essentials, they all agree and hold out the same goal to mankind. Though we hold on to our own faith, this is also very important. harbor no ill will towards anybody else. In fact, we revere all of them. We may not go to their place of worship, but at our heart we revere them. And how gently Papa clarified, that made that Muslim person to turn towards him. And then he said, the words produced a deep impression upon the mind of the Muslim friend. The conversation continued for some time. With regard to Ramdas's experience, the young friend became very fond of him, so much so that he made up his mind to follow Ramdas wherever he went. It was a sudden impulse. Ramdas told him that he should not do so, as he had no orders from Ram to take him with him. One more point he says. Suppose when something happens, sudden impulse comes to us. It won't be lasting. After some time, the euphoria will get evaporated and we are back to the original one. At that time we may feel regret, or we may find it difficult to go back also. So many things will happen. So Papa gently mentions this to all of us, that any act that comes, any act or any motivation that comes as an impulse should not be taken seriously. It was a sudden impulse. After some persuasion, he was induced to give up that idea. But he wanted something from Ramdas as a memento. Then the deerskin was given. So 2-3 points.
I'm not able to understand. Impulse ko intuition ko enna konja elaborate achunga.
Intuition means, if there is no vested interest, if it is coming directly from him, he is all pervading, he will not think in terms of an individual. So when we say it is coming from him, it will be totally free from even slightest vestige of self-interest. So that is how we try to understand. You meet somebody, you get attracted toward him, you attach to him, you would like to have, then finished. No. But here the intuition or the inner voice when it comes out, sudden, it will be sudden, spontaneous. At the same time, it will be devoid of any type of self-interest, even in the subtlest form. So we have to observe whether it is coming out. That person will definitely know whether it is coming out of the subtlest form of self-interest or from a different level. So they keep on, Papa keeps on emphasizing this. When many people ask this same question, how do we know that it is coming from him? So he said the only barometer, the test is whether it has any slight, even a negligible or a tiny speck of self-interest. And everyone will know this.
Hari Om, Swami.
Hari Om.
When you were mentioning that about the conversation with Muhammad and reply of Papa, I remember an incident when Sri Ravi Shankar was addressing a gathering and someone in the meeting asked, do you know that Jesus Christ is the Lord of the universe?
Then,
Jesus is the Lord of the universe.
Jesus Christ is the Lord of the universe? Then Sri Ravi Shankar said yes. But understand, my friend, that he also has other names like Rama, Krishna, Shankara, etc. Thank you, Swami.
Correct. There are so many, because there is only one. That is why
இந்த கான்வர்சேஷன் பற்றி நானும் யோசனை வந்துன்னு, அதாவது பப்பா முகமது although Muhammad is a world teacher, there are others also who are as great teachers ன்னு சொல்லும் போதும் அப்போ அந்த முஸ்லிம் ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு அப்போ ஸ்ட்ரைக் ஆகல, முகமதை மட்டும்தான் பார்த்துன்னு இருந்தாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் பப்பா வந்து முகமது எல்லாத்துலேயும் பார்க்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது அந்த வி எக்ஸ்பேன்ஷன்ற அந்த வி சீடை வந்து பப்பா வந்து அது அந்த ஒரு டச் அவருக்கு கொடுத்ததுனால அதுக்கப்புறம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவர் பப்பாவை அப்படியே ஃபாலோ பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் இம்ப்ரெஸ் ஆயிட்டாரு. அந்த டச் ஆஃப் அந்த அந்த ஸ்பார்க் அவருக்கு அந்த கொடுத்ததுனால ஸோ அவருக்கு அது பப்பா மூலியமா அந்த வி எக்ஸ்பேன்ஷன் அவருக்கு கிடைச்சிருக்கு.
That is how God arranges so many things, So these 3 points were there in this Raipur 1, 2 and 3. Then from there 29, Ajmer. Anything here special? Fairly a big chapter, okay, 4 pages.
Swamiji, Papa followed with a simple trust that Muslim man. So he did not ask where to go, where are we going, no question asked. So it was all preordained by Ram, so he just followed. That is in the beginning. And then Papa stayed in a place where there were ferocious animals. And Papa was not scared and those animals, ferocious and not looking very pleasing, also are part of Ram or also are Ram.
Where is that? You are staying where?
Jungle. 160.
Oh, one more page. The jungle was infested with wild pigs, serpents, scorpions, and other venomous creatures.
Yes, Swami.
The wild animals would come out to dig out roots with their snouts from the marshy land surrounding the mandir. For these roots were their food. Ramdas was freely going out in the nights when they were about, but by Ram's grace they never harmed him. The villagers who were coming there during the day would warn him of the ferocious nature of these wild beasts, but complete trust in Ram means full protection and no fear. Moreover, day and night the mandir was freely visited by long black serpents, none of which, however, molested him. Again, every morning when he lifted up the gunny and sack piece spread out for him by the kind sannyasi as asan, which Ramdas would use also, he would discover beneath it a number of reddish yellow scorpions, but none of these stung him. O Ram, when thy loving arm is ever ready to protect thy humble slave, who could harm him? Thou art, O Ram, everywhere, in all creatures, the whole universe is, and all in it, thy own manifestation, O Ram, all glory to thee. Bah. Everywhere this connection, no? How is it that it was possible for him to stay there? Because that connection was kept alive. It was not coming and going. And it was not merely chanting. Everything connected with the all-pervading nature of the Lord. He was able to dwell on.
Swamiji, அருவருப்பு கூட இல்ல. சில தடவை வீட்டுல இருந்தா ஒரு காக்ரோச்ச பார்த்தா கூட நமக்கு ஒரு அருவருப்பு வந்துடுது. Yes.
Because we see the otherness, As you said, now that you have pointed out, let us not go and try ourselves in any jungle. Let us try in our own house. Whenever any cockroach comes, are we in a position to see it as a form of God? It may be a tough idea, it may be a difficult idea, but at least if we don't try in our own house where all protection are there. So we try, we make a trial. Not that we should sleep along with the cockroach, but cockroach, when the moment the cockroach comes, okay, that also wants, we will try to put something, that will enable the cockroach to go out of the house. But at the same time, we don't harbor any ill will, we don't develop any aversion for it, and we don't do any physical harm to it. That is very important. That is why we say, when we say 12th chapter, suppose we are reading every day or once in a way, or we have learned by heart, Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam, not merely to people, to Sarva Bhutanam, all creatures, beings, everything, malice towards none. Kanaswami used to say, after hearing this, whenever he goes to the wash basin for brushing the teeth, he will first ensure that no ants or anything is there before the tap is opened. So like that, some way we can try to,
Chapter 12th chapter. Ticket inspector God is everywhere, not prove.
God is everywhere, but he wants to have this fact actually proved by going to all places and realizing his presence everywhere. Beautiful. Every proved in the
Ajmer
page number? That's a book.
It is proved here. He proved
the jungle ni chotu umbale. Here he proved for himself beyond all doubt that Ram protects with the greatest care the devotees who entirely trust him and solely depend upon him. In chapter number 12, God is everywhere. When the ticket inspector asks him, they say God is everywhere, then where is the fun of your knocking about in search of him while he is at the very place from which you started this quest, as you say? Papa answers, right, brother, God is everywhere, but he wants to have this fact actually proved by going to all places and realizing his presence everywhere. Now in this chapter, that is in the 29th chapter, the interior of this mandir was perfectly square, the sides corresponding exactly to, except for 1 or 2 hours of sleep, and he was repeating the whole night in the glorious mantram of Ram. Here he proved for himself, beyond all doubt, that Ram protects with the greatest care the devotees who entirely trust him and solely depend upon him. So now we are very clear why he set on in quest of God. Now we understand the real meaning. It is not to find a God anywhere. It is to find God everywhere. No? That is why he started going. Otherwise it will be lopsided, one-sided. Suppose we are sitting in Mangalore, whatever heights he may have, still the question will come, when he is subject to go through various types of situations, various types of people, various types of objects, will one be able to keep up the same? Because this is at 99% of people who are all involved in various activities. They are not full-timers to sit in one place and to contemplate and to become one with him. All of us are preoccupied with so many involvements at various levels. So we will only see everything is different. We will never see the common denominator anywhere. So by reading this, he is there everywhere, even in a place where the urine is passed. No? So if we go back to the entire previous chapters, we will find that Ram was making Papa feel that God is everywhere. This word is wonderful, this 12th chapter. God is everywhere, but he wants to have this fact actually proved by going to all places and realizing his presence everywhere. Not only he is there as the Nirguna Nirakar aspect, but he is also there as the Saguna Sakar aspect. That is why Papa did not feel any fear. Papa did not feel any aversion. He was not feeling any anxiety. He was not feeling frustrated. Throughout this chapter we have covered. Never we have. And he was able to accept everything cheerfully as ordained by him. He was able to take. So this is the message he is giving us. You are also subjected to various types of experiences. You have to move with or handle so many situations. Some are positive, some you have named it as negative. Some you say they are favorable, some they are not favorable. So in all these, we must be able to have an even-mindedness and to handle it properly as directed by him from within. Yes, it's a beautiful point. He proved. Yes?
பப்பா வந்து ப்ரெசன்ட்லே இருந்திருக்காரு சுவாமிஜி. அதாவது யூரின் ஸ்மெல் ஆகட்டும், எந்த ஒரு எவ்ரி மினிட் ப்ரெசன்ட்லே இருந்ததுனால அவருக்கு அந்த தாட் அதோட நாலேஜே சுத்தமா, அது இமோஷன் நாலேஜ் எதுவுமே இல்லாம எவ்ரி மினிட் பிரசன்ட். அதுதான்
he was living every moment. Yeah. And the message he gives us is, when we keep on, suppose we are all votaries of Ramnam, we chant Ramnam, but we may not be very clear about all these dimensions. So now he is slowly opening up. The purpose of chanting Ramnam is to feel his presence everywhere. First in you and in everywhere. Everybody. So we will make a trial, no? Rather than getting stuck with what Papa did, no doubt it may help us also. But the vital thing is that we should be able to accept all situations. So when we make a trial, 1%, 2%, 5% success will be there, na? Even if it is not possible for us to accept it. Somewhere in the corner of our mind, this will be there. If Papa was there, how he would have tackled this, how he would have felt this, how he would have handled this. When we do this in-depth study of In Quest of God, probably this approach also might help us. Whenever we are confronted with situations that are with which we are not comfortable at all, we try to pause for a moment and think, if it was Papa, how he would have dealt it. We would not have been able to do it even after remembering, but some impact will be there. And that is enough. Our aversion will not be there. We may not be able to embrace it. We may not be able to reconcile with the situation fully, but there will be a positive side in it. Just like when mosquitoes nowadays trouble us, or when ants trouble us, we immediately put some turmeric powder. Immediately after that, it will go away. We are not killing them, but at the same time, with if allowed, it will go into all other containers, even your beds, everywhere. So we may not be able to coexist with them in the room, but at the same time, they have got their own. So we try to send a message, silent message to them by doing this type of activities. Turmeric powder will definitely discourage ants to get into. Turmeric powder is a very powerful one. Wherever you find, even cockroach will go. And this, what do you call it? Lemongrass oil. Suppose you sprinkle it, the odor will definitely expel. So like that, we try to minimize our violent attitude. Neem oil. Neem oil also. So there are so many ways by which, biological control, by which, without harming it, we can use certain things and it becomes a natural expeller. We will start thinking about it. This garlic, suppose we have got a pest attack on this thing, we use garlic. At times, it saves the plant. It drives away the pest. So minimum, nil violence may not be possible, but minimum violence. Nil violence will be possible only for people who have dedicated themselves fully in this.
Giants will do like that.
And not only Jains, many others we have seen. They won't do that. Just like Papa, there have been many Mahatmas. To them, there was no problem. But by and large, people will not be able to do it. So there we can use this organic matter that slowly pushes away all these things, at the same time without harming them. In good old days, every day, the first job of the lady of the house is to have this, everybody will have 1 or 2 cows there. So they will take this cow dung, and cow dung will be made as a liquid, and it will be there on our front, and then some rangoli. And in good old days, when the wall is not given any paints, but it is with lime, calcium oxide. We remember. Then the presence of, what is it called, palli? Lizards, and so many other things will not be there. Because on those days, it was every now and then we do the whitewashing 1 year. That smell. But now we have switched over to so many other things synthetic, and naturally it will be there. So we learn from the elders that cow dung is also disinfectant. Before it will be there, as you enter, you have to cross this and enter. Cow dung. Cow dung will be mixed in the water and it will be poured, and especially on important days, special rangoli will be made, so that the rangoli is made up of rice powder, so that it will be useful for the ants to take. So there for any person who would like to do the minimum zero violence or barest minimum violence, he will try to evolve, he will try to know what are the other alternatives for us, so that he will always be conscious. And one insect saved, that is good. So much, so good. Though we may not be able to save all, if one is saved, suppose as you go to the bathroom, suppose in the bucket, one is just fallen and trying its level best to come out of it, suppose we save. If you are always conscious of it, first job will be to somehow take it and save. That is okay. It gives us some satisfaction. Wherever we go, suppose this attitude is there, and God will see to it that when you develop this attitude of recognizing their equal right to live in this world, mysteriously he will bring out some remedies by which you can ward off them, at the same time they are not harmed. It's very, very important. So now you see the discussion on the 28th chapter, 29th chapter, brings out all these dimensions. This is the purpose of the in-depth study. We are not limiting ourselves to the text content. We are trying to develop it, in the jungle, when Papa did not feel it, O Ram, when thy loving arm is ever ready to protect thy humble slave, who could harm him? Thou art, O Ram, everywhere, in all creatures, the whole universe, and all in it is thy own manifestation. O Ram, all glory to thee. So this made us to think about all these things, our workaday life. We all remember Papa's words, spirituality that cannot be applied in actual life is no spirituality. We must be able to apply it to the extent possible. We have not been brought up in a system where we were told all these things when we were young. There we only thought about our welfare, our protection. So at a particular time, God arranges satsang like this, and He makes us aware. If you feel you have a right to live in this world, you have to accept that all living creatures also have a right to live in this world. In order to remind us, that is why we said, Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. So whether it is inert, insentient, or anything, whether it is creatures, whether it is bees, whether it is insects, whether it is birds, we have no right to take it. Because the moment you deprive them of, you should know that you also, that is how this what do you call this? Punya Papa all concept came. Whenever I pass through any trying moments, normally I will be told by Shastras and elders that we are working out our own prarabdha. So prarabdha, knowingly and unknowingly, we commit so many things. So now the spiritual preceptor tells us, knowingly first you try to arrest as much as you can. If your entire idea is to become one with Him, free from all these bondages, we have to lead such a life. So that means we should be free from prarabdha, sanchita karma. In Atmabodh, when he talks about body, he says, Adi Shankara says, Panjendriya Mahabhudam Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam Shariram Sugadukhanam Bhogayadanam. Karma Sanchitam. So that is also another factor that decides this body. So there, suppose, when I have got this body and when I am told about this, I try to minimize anything that is detrimental to the interest of my co-creations. If it becomes zero, nothing like that. That means I am free from all sanchita karma. So during this, he at least gives us an idea now, through this satsang, that you try to reduce all these prarabdhas to the extent possible now, so that the tendency to minimize gets rooted in us, and slowly one day we will be able to have complete. First we have to habituate, We will not be indifferent. Even if we are rushing towards somewhere, and suppose we find something is... I remember in Kanyagar, one day it was very heavily raining. One of our friends has explained this. A cat, somehow unfortunately it came to the middle of the road. And so many vehicles are going this way, that way. It wanted a shelter. Everybody, all pedestrians were going. But one person looked at the cat, and as soon as there was some way for him to go there, a small cat, and somehow he took it, brought it. There was a waiting shed there. It was kept under a paper. And then he went. Somebody was able to see that and he made. This is one of the incidents, That much is possible. We need not bother about what will happen. What is possible, then we try to do that. We try to extend. You call it as compassion, or you call it as inclusion. Whatever you may call it. You are suddenly, you feel it has got every right to live in this world. As much as possible, we should try to do it. No doubt, Jains gave a lot of importance for this. Even they don't use water straight away from the pot or a tap. They will tie a cloth with it, because they say, according to them, their shastras, they believe that there are even creatures having the body as water. So we were working with Jains. There are all the taps, it will have this. And we can definitely say so many instances. Because we don't use any pesticides, we don't kill anything, we don't allow anybody to kill anything, whether it is a snake or this or that. And nobody has died of any snake bite or any attack of the bees or anything. So it is a proven fact. It is not a theory, it's a proven fact. So through this particular chapter, Papa is touching and kindling all these aspects in us. Try to minimize. The moment you start accepting that everything is the form of God, to some, intellectually at least, And when it comes down to the experiential level, to the extent possible in the beginning. The rest of the portion we will take it up tomorrow, if there is any. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Rama Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Rama Om. One more thing, nowadays whenever we buy anything, the natural tendency, first of all, we will become vegetarians. We will become vegetarians because we are not indirectly causing any injury to anything. Though we may not be directly killing what has been killed by somebody, that suppose we start eating, we are indirectly promoting it. So when we were working with the Jain, whenever we buy chappal, he will not buy a chappal with leather. So when we asked him, you're not using a leather chappal, it's not going to arrest this. He said, that is okay, but I have done my job. No, I am not directly or indirectly encouraging the trade. So similarly, we try to become pure vegetarians, and whenever we buy anything, we try to look at the cover, whether it has got that green round circle. And one more thing, nowadays they are very, very, at least we should thank them. Even when we take medicines, somewhere it is clearly mentioned, it is gelatin proof, So immediately we say, no, sorry, we don't want. We are not condemning the users. But as spiritual aspirants or devotees, it is better to avoid all these things. Because directly or indirectly, we should not be involved in anything that forms a part of violence. This is also a man. Later on we will find that when we go to the place where he saw the silk, how it because we have seen that. In Mysore we happened to go to a silk farm, and then not for a second you can remain there. They grow this mulberry, and this mulberry is eaten by that particular, and then it is put in the hot water, boiling water, and from there this lava comes, which is called the patu, silk. And so all our Mahatmas used to say, never use that, because we should not direct. If we buy it, we are encouraging it. So these are all some of the practical sides. When we go beyond all this, when we have identified ourselves with the entire cosmic reality, then this question may not come to us. But until we reach that stage, these are all something which we have to necessarily keep up. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.